most of those are,
Can you
you know,
tell?
the guy that, when you go in the south side of it,
Here we go. Fan.
oh my God.
Yeah.
That's a 30 mil or something.
Okay.
I don't know.
You get past the concept?
On the air?
Pretty nice house.
I mean, if it's a time window,
Yeah.
this
We
is
were
the
on your
point
list,
of those records in the output
Brand new.
So you're on the north side.
minutes.
I'm totally north. Go to zero.
No, 144. I've been here.
Showing here is about the ground. Well, maybe the next DDP meeting will do.
Gotten rid of a lot of
That'd be
paper.
good. I love it.
Eric suggested the CDP meeting.
Bill Sewell.
I gotta remember who's on this list.
CDP would work,
I think Stu.
Yeah.
but I'd only really, my biggest table is 10
His
seats.
name's
It's
not
a
on.
little small. I'll have to expand, I'll have to build another wing.
So I'll bring some lawn chairs.
Go back to
Sure.
business.
There's nothing about you this small.
I'm easy to please. I'll bring it.
Easy to please. so
Yeah.
don't lodge.
I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Downtown Development Board, our September 4th, 2019 meeting. We'll begin by having our board members introduce themselves and our ex officio members, beginning on my left.
Raymond Casano.
Lena Teixeira.
Stu Showerman.
Thomas Wright.
Paris Morphopoulos.
Jake Oldlaze.
David Albritton.
Very good, thank you. The second item on our agenda is to welcome any citizens that want to address any topics. If there are any present that would like to address us, please come forward. Does not appear there are. Let's move on to item number 3. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes from the August 7th, 2019 meeting.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is unanimous. Okay, so now we're moving on to new business items. Today is our first public millage hearing, and for that we have a resolution 02-19. In accordance with Chapter 200 of the Florida statutes, which defines requirements for the determination of millage and the rules governing truth in millage compliance, the DDB must hold 2 public hearings to adopt a final millage rate for the new fiscal year. The adoption of this resolution to establish the millage rate and the related budget resolution are an integral part of fulfilling these requirements. The DDB set a tentative millage rate of 0.9700 mil on July 10th, 2019, which is the rate that appeared on the TRIM bill notices mailed to taxpayers in August. Resolution 02-19 is presented in order to adopt the millage rate of 0.970 mils to support the operating budget for the 2019-2020 fiscal year. Member Wright, would you please read Resolution 02-19 for us?
Right. Delighted to.
Just the heading, I believe, is all that's required.
Millage resolution, resolution number 02-19. Resolution of the Clearwater Downtown Development Board of the City of Clearwater, Florida, declaring the millage rate to be levied for the fiscal year beginning October the 1st, 2019, and ending September the 30th, 2020, for operating purposes, providing an effective date of this resolution.
Very good, thank you. Do we have any citizen comments regarding this? All right. I'm looking for a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Ray? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good, it passes unanimously. Okay, now the first public budget hearing, Resolution 03-19. As previously stated, the DDB must adhere to the Florida statutes and the rules governing TRIM compliance. On June 5th, 2019, the DDB approved a preliminary budget that outlined proposed estimates of revenues and expenditures for the 2019-2020 fiscal year. The budget was also approved at the August 7th, 2019 DDB meeting. Member Casano, would you please read Budget Resolution 03-19?
Yes, I will.
Could have given you a heads up on that a little earlier.
Just had it here.
Just read
All right.
financial statements.
Resolution of the Clearwater Downtown Development Board of the City of Clearwater, Florida, declaring the final budget to be adopted for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2019, and ending September 30th, 2020. For operating purposes, providing an effective date of this resolution.
Very good. Any citizen comments on this issue? Okay, I'm looking for a motion to adopt.
Second.
So we have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. Okay, I'm now looking for a motion to adopt the July 2019 financial statement for filing. I think we have some words from the CRA Director, Amanda.
Yes, so as I've been taking a deep dive into your ordinances and bylaws, you guys are actually not required to adopt these statements every month. They just have to be available for your review. Not sure how the practice evolved. You can still adopt them, just FYI, we don't have to. But what I have on this slide here is what I did for you guys last month, since these statements are 30 days behind, right? That right now, funds spent as of July 21st are slightly over $443,000. Remember, in your August meeting, you approved about $75,000 worth of expenditures for your Facebook video campaign that'll be handled by the CRA staff. The Clearwater Arts Alliance item, thank you to Lena for getting that going. That's looking for your approval today, and then for the augmented, your art tech project. So available funds to spend by September 30th is approximately almost $45,000. So if there was anything that, you know, as we go through, just know that if we don't spend that money by September 30th, that will roll over into next year into the unallocated funds
Very good.
line.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Very good. Is there any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It's
Thank you for
unanimous.
doing that summary.
Very good. And now we're moving on to item 4.4, the homelessness presentation. Gabe Para from Community Development and Sergeant Sergio Fidelis.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
I'm Gabe Para. I'm the Community Development Manager for the City of Clearwater. And it is my pleasure today to present an overview of the homeless initiative that we have. Let's go back in time. Let's go back somewhere in 2011, 2012. At that time, we had over 360 homeless persons in the downtown, the Gateway area, and the beach. The city hired a homeless consultant, Dr. Robert Marble, to give us some ideas, to do some research. And after a couple of weeks of creating this study, he gave us a set of guidance and principles that gave way to what we call the Homeless Initiative. And our motto is, give a hand up, not a handout. So this program had these 5 key items, which is, first we have to change our culture, the perception of how we see homeless. We had to realign the magnets. At the time, we had meal providers in different sections of the city. At the time, we reviewed some of the ordinance and put some new ones in place. And since no man is an island, we had to get with partners in order to accomplish this. It's not just the city that it was supposed to do and create a solution. It is a joint effort with our partners. And the street outreach is very important because the homeless, as you see them day after day, they are on the streets. So the first one, the changing culture and perception. It was very important to go from enabling versus engaging. Just to provide a meal without wraparound services, it just enables the behavior most of the times. So that will engaging the homeless, we were able to identify problems and try to find the solutions short-term and long-term. So within the city, as a part of the change in the culture and the perception, the city created the Homeless Committee. It is comprised of most of the departments that on a day-by-day basis, they have to interact with the homeless, like the police department, solid waste, parks and rec, and we meet every 2 months in order to discuss and bring to the table what is the current situation, and we assess it, what we need to do to keep moving forward. The education to city employees is very important, that every city employee is on the same page. At every new employee orientation, we present them with this overview of the homeless initiative, and they know how to react exactly in the same way that the rest of the employees are doing, having the same tools. The second important guidance that we received was to realign the magnets. The city allows and encourages everyone who would like to provide meals to the homeless to utilize the vacant lot, which is adjacent to the police department. We have several organizations that use that particular vacant lot, and now we are trying to unify the feeding times, so to have it more or less at the same time every day. That will give them, the homeless, we will help them to have some sort of sense of order in the particular days. To enforce our ordinance, one important thing is the notice to appear, and at the end of the presentation, when Sergeant Fidelis will talk to you, he will be able to explain in more detail what the notice to appear is. Basically, is if a homeless person is apprehended because he's violating a city ordinance, it's something, let's say, minor, like public urination, trespassing, defacing property. So they are given at that time by the police officer the option to go to safe harbor, that we'll touch again in a few minutes, and receive a notice to appear at a later date before the judge. It doesn't mean that with the option, the transgression is forgiven. It is that this is a program from the Pinellas County Sheriff Department that I will expand just in a minute. With this ordinance, this is data that was presented to City Council a couple of months ago, and is the comparison between 2017 and 2018. In District 2, which is where downtown is, the ordinance warnings were down, a little, from 115 to 88. Same with the trespass warnings, they went down in District 2 and District 3, a little higher on District 1, but not too much. Like I said before, no man is an island. So we need to work together with our partners. One of the partners is the case manager from Continuum of Care. This is an agency that provides mental health assistance to homeless. They had assigned one case manager to the city of Clearwater that works directly with the downtown bag team. She goes out there and talks to the homeless that you see in the street. That's mainly what she does, street outreach. And she identifies most times those individuals that are mentally ill, that they could get benefits to obtain some medical assistance that maybe will help them to get out of homelessness, or at least to be better, health-wise. But sometimes these homeless individuals, because of exactly what they are going through, they don't even know that they could do that. The street outreach case manager, she will be able to help them. She also helps taking them to shelters and place them in the shelters. The HEP is another of our partners. Some people say HEP is the Homeless Empowerment Program. From the hundreds of individuals that they helped last year, 787 were from Clearwater, and they served over 117,000 meals a day. This is an interesting story from HEP. Matt, he came back from Afghanistan with severe PTSD and depression. He ended up homeless. So an agency referred him to HEP, and after receiving treatment and counseling, he moved to the veterans unit that the HEP has, and now she moved out of there. He has his own landscaping business. He got married, and at the beginning of the year, he welcomed his daughter, Corey. So this is a wonderful story, especially for somebody who put his life at stake. Pinella's Hope. Pinella's Hope is, I don't know if you remember, maybe you will remember some of the news that there were a couple of years ago when we have tents in the city of St. Petersburg, and it was a very important issue that the tents were moved to what today is Pinella's Hope. Not only they have the tents, at the time they had the tents and casitas. Casita means small house, little tiny house in Spanish, and those are just basically like a shed, but it was a little better than the tent. Now they have shipping containers that have been refurbished. Each one has 3 small units. Very nice. They have electricity, a window, AC, heat for those 2 or 3 days of cold that we have at the beginning of the year that we complain so much, but they will be able to have that. Usually they stay in these units somewhere up to 90 days. In the meantime, they are going through case management and help in different areas. Then they are moved to his or her own apartment and to give way to other people to graduate from the tent to the shipping container. And Pinella Safe Harbor. This is what I mentioned before with the notice to appear. They are the recipients of those homeless that are taken by the police department because they committed a transgression, violating an ordinance, and they are taken to Pinella Safe Harbor. They have 470 beds, and last year they provide 3 meals, and 378,000 plus were the meals that they serve. This is a program from the Sheriff's Youth Ranch. I'm sorry, I always say Sheriff Ranch, my mistake, for the Pinellas County Sheriff Office, and they to declutter the jail system. So Sergeant Fidelis will be able to really tell you more details about it. RCS, this is the new, with the new branding, everybody calls it RCS, is Religious Community Services. They have a very important program, which is the domestic violence. Last year alone, they received over 3,000 phone calls related to domestic violence. They also have the Grace House, which is an apartment-style shelter where they families and families with children, they stay for up to 6 months at this particular place, and then they help and they can move to their own place. This is a very interesting story. Diane found herself homeless with her 3 grandchildren. So she went to RCS. She lived there for a couple of months. She went through all the programs. She graduated with flying colors. And now she has moved to her own place and found a job with RCS. She's working now in another program in RCS, helping other people, and is her job now. This is a very nice, so she's not in the streets anymore. The Salvation Army of Upper Pinellas County is a smaller enterprise. They have 17 family units, and one of the important things is that they provide assistance, financial assistance to those families that need some funding, let's say, to pay for utilities because they're going to be evicted and they will become homeless. The Salvation Army will help them with money for utilities. So in order, this is the prevention and diversion program that they have, which is very important to prevent people from getting out of homes and go to the streets. The St. Vincent de Paul, probably some of you will remember the CHIP Center about the 2010, 2012. So right now, the St. Vincent de Paul not only provides the breakfast for every day for the homeless, they have the resource center. They just opened it in March. The city provided some financial assistance from the CDBG grant. And they have classes to help homeless who want to get out of homelessness, because that's very important, to acquire or to refine some of the skills that they have to be able to get a job. Even some of the classes is how to put together a resume, or if they need, the idea is they're gonna give classes in mechanic or electricity. The latest addition to the curriculum is how to work with drones. So this is a very, very, very nice program. I would like to learn how to fly the drone, but this is a career, and some of them, they are already passing and graduating from these classes. The St. Vincent de Paul is partnering with the Pinellas County Reenter Offender, I'm sorry, I'm throwing a blank on the acronym here, and with the STARS program. So this is a very good effort, and many of those homeless, you don't see them on the street anymore, which is the goal. This is the day of the opening of this resource center. And one important thing is that we have it's a grassroots effort, and this was working so perfectly up to an hour ago, and now the video is not playing. We tried it 3 times, and the last time was at 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's not playing. So that video that was supposed to play, but it just didn't at this very second. I apologize for that one, even though we tried it yesterday, we tried it today in the morning, we tried it in the afternoon, because I wanted to make sure that it was ready. Exactly at 5 o'clock, a few minutes before 5 o'clock, we tried it again, and it worked. Right now, it didn't open. So the HLB was the next step in the partners that we have. What is the HLB? The HLB is the umbrella organizations, the infrastructure that oversees the continuum of care providers in Pinellas County. They receive funding not only from HUD, but from other agencies and governments. We provide some funding to them. We are a direct part of the HLB, which is related. We are up to date in everything that is happening with the homeless, and now what are the steps that we need to follow. So the HLB had these 3 levels in the organization. The board, one of the vice mayor is our face from the city, and Mr. Puglace used to be the face of the city of Clearwater, the HLB board of directors. And the other 2 levels is the Founders Council and the Providers Council, and we are directly an active part of those meetings as well. So the city provides $235,000 a year, and they are distributed in the agencies that I just mentioned, the HEP, the HLB, Pinellas Hope, and that is what we do with them. Let's talk about the point in time. I don't know if you remember at the beginning of the year that you see volunteers with a very bright colored shirt is the point in time volunteers. This time, over 360 volunteers in Pinellas County. We went outside in the street. The city had 87 employees participating, which is a very nice thing to do. What happened? This is happening in the United States last week of January every year. And the information that we get and we submit to HUD is what will determine what funding from the federal government will come to services for homeless at this time. The point in time, it is a survey, and everything that is told by a homeless, we do not discuss, we just, it's self-reported. Everything they say, that's what we write down, and that's what we submit to HUD. It is very important. There are hundreds of different issues that come to life, and they're very important. I'm just going to mention two, the cause why somebody become, homeless. The financial problems is mostly, it's actually the first one. Medical and or disability is the second cause, and or family issues is the third one. The numbers that we have in the past 2 years, they went down, and except for the family issues that went up a little. And okay, this is very important. In the point in time, the one that I'm telling you that happened at the beginning of the year, and is self-reported. So one of the questions is, where do you usually stay? So that's how HUD phrases the question. So people say St. Petersburg, Clearwater, Largo. So all of those that said Clearwater, these are the numbers that were given to us by HUD. And the numbers are going down. In 2016, there were 236. In 2017, 229. In 2018, 199. And I just heard that the count that we did at the beginning of the year is 163. Again, it's somebody that could come from Tampa or Pasco, but at the time of the survey, because this is a snapshot of what's going on with the homeless at that particular time, they say Clearwater. So it could be Clearwater up here, or Clearwater goes all the way next to Largo, and they are in Largo, and they say Clearwater, but this is the data. Again, we don't question what they say, we just write it down. That's the job of the volunteers at that time. So now mentioning this, there was 163. This is very important. Here in the city, we have our own count. The downtown bike team does a great job doing this. This is a count that happens every month on the last Wednesday of every month between 5 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So there is a route that it was designed with the help of the homeless consultant, Dr. Robert Marbot, and we go to the main places. On Wednesday, there is a huge meal serving at the vacant lot, so that is a very nice opportunity. That was one of the reasons that we decided that would be good, because they are there, so we will be able to count. This count is really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's all. There is no survey like the point in time, but that gives us like a benchmark. We take a pulse of how many individuals we have, experiencing street-level homelessness. And the numbers have been consistent between 75 and 85. Those are the numbers that we have every month here in the city of Clearwater. There are many of those hundreds that we count that go to the shelters. Those are people experiencing homelessness, but then they move on. The ones that we see, remember that, or just keep in mind that some people say, some data shows between 10 to 15% of a person experiencing homelessness doesn't want to get out of homelessness. And so the services that we have up there, we cannot force anybody to take them. Like the case manager from Duration for Living, she goes, she talks, she has spoken to every single individual that you see up and down. And they know what are the resources. They know what is available for them. And then they decided that I don't want to. So at that point, we cannot force them. So last time when, which is a year and a half ago, close to 2 years, we asked the homeless consultant to come back and reassess what we have. One of the things that he noticed is that many homeless were used by drug dealers to be distributors. So the police department, again, has done a fantastic job doing, addressing that problem. This data that we have here is down, it says 21%. That was at the beginning of the year when I presented this to City Council. I'm pretty sure that Sergio Fidelis, he has a more updated percentage, and he will tell you as soon as I get out of here. So this is what we're focusing now at this time. We will continue monitoring the implementation of Dr. Margot's recommendation, which is really the backbone of our homeless initiative. The Housing First, which is a mandate from HUD, that all the efforts that the continuum of care providers, they have to direct every effort to Housing First, which is the way that we are going to stop seeing homeless in the street when we put them in housing, and then the wraparound services will be, put all around them. We will continue monitoring that, and the street feeding activities, which, is something that we keep an eye on, and I personally go to those meetings, feeding times, the meal times, and randomly I stop to find out and to see what's going on. And in general, the policy and funding activities. One of the very good things that we have in the focus for the next year is the Station Square Park that the CRA director, Amanda, has something very interesting to tell you. And with this, I conclude my presentation. Is there any questions?
Any questions from the board?
Are you gonna?
Yes.
Follow up, Amanda?
You mean talk about Station Square?
No, about the homeless situation or no?
I'm sorry, I don't
Are
understand.
you gonna follow up regarding the homeless situation, or you're doing another segment?
We have taken some steps to address some behavior in Station Square that I will describe.
Okay, so then I'll wait for yours, and then I'll make.
Okay.
Anyone else? Stu, did
I
you
do
have a
have one
comment?
question. You started out the presentation with the year, I think, 2012,
11 to 12.
okay? You mentioned 300 homeless.
360 was the count that we had at the time.
Now, what count was that? Was that also a count self-reported, or was that a count here during feeding? Because I want to compare apples to apples. This year it's 163, but those two numbers, are they the same count or not?
Yeah, those were not from the point in time count. Those were counts at the time. There are different people that have been doing the count. Now it's done by the downtown bike team with the 75 and 95. Before we had the AmeriCorps volunteers, and another time we had some of the police volunteers. So the numbers came from the count that they did.
In your opinion, are those counts reasonably comparable in the sense of reliability?
Well, those and that time, it's very difficult for me to say. It was before my time.
Okay?
So I just got that information when I came to this to do this job, but then I cannot give you my personal opinion on that one.
Fair enough.
I have a question
Thank
on
you.
the distinction between the number of homeless people that are actually being taken care of in various homeless programs versus the ones that are not, that are out on the street. So like when we say 163 in January of this year, does that include the ones that are receiving services and are being provided shelter, or does it not include them?
That is the count. That 163 is from the point in time count, from the data that volunteers went out and surveyed.
So those are people that are not being helped, that are not in shelters.
Exactly, those are people experiencing.
So the actual homeless numbers, people that don't have their own homes, is much higher than
Yeah.
this number.
That number is for the ones that are in the streets.
Right.
The report comes with other data with the homeless that are in shelters.
Yes.
which is separate.
That's a
This
separate-
particular number is the one that we see walking up and down the streets.
And what explains the discrepancy between the 163 in January and the 75 to 85 that the police see on the Wednesday?
Because the 163 is on the point in time that our volunteers going all over the place. The 75 to 85 is our own personal count by the police department going to the route and to the meal places, the
Right.
meal
So
sites, to count them.
What does the difference in the numbers mean, though? Does that mean that there are places that we aren't going on those?
Yes, absolutely.
Good afternoon, Sergeant Fidel, Clearwater Police. What happens is that, what I do with my team is when the feeding's happening, I sit there and I count the people that are coming up. My officers are out throughout the city counting other locations where we know they are located. Sometimes the point and count when that happens is if somebody goes to Bel Air, so Bel Air north to Union is the city of Clearwater, okay? And then from Clearwater Beach all the way to, let's say, the Tampa line. That's the city of Clearwater, the way we provide services from the Clearwater Police Department. But some people, if they're all the way by Roosevelt, also consider that Clearwater. So maybe in the point and count, some people get counted that way. Or they could be in St. Petersburg, downtown St. Petersburg, and say, oh, I hang out in Clearwater, mainly. So that's why sometimes there's a discrepancy. But when we count them, we physically count each individual in the city of Clearwater, the incorporated city of Clearwater, in the main hotspots. And it's at the same time.
So the 75 to 85 is a more reliable number of how many actual homeless we have on the street.
Correct.
And
so-
are there significant numbers of homeless that aren't downtown, that are in other parts of Clearwater?
Sure. There could be in other locations, maybe a camp somewhere, but these are locations that we can count. And what I do is I just have officers go to the beach at the same time, go mainly in the main areas where we know they're at. Sometimes the feedings happen this way too. So you have a feeding, you'll have, let's say you have 100 people at the feeding, but not everybody there is homeless. I've seen people pull up in cars. I know people that have residences that still come over to the feeding.
Sure.
Sometimes you might see a bigger number there, but yes. And then some people are homeless and they do not go to that feeding that day, and they could be somewhere kind of hidden. But we do the best we can to get the most accurate number every single month. And the officers that I have are trained and they know each homeless person. And if somebody's new and they're homeless, we offer them services and identify them and try to assist them as we can.
Okay. Go ahead, Lena.
How big is the spike on the on season, I call it, when the winter months come? How significant is the increase?
I would say about 20 additional. And what we do is, so right now I have an example of 4 new homeless persons that we've identified. They're couples. One gentleman said that he is from up north. He came here one time to visit, liked it, and then years later now he comes with his girlfriend. We're trying to provide them services. They're not interested. The other couple was interested. So out of the 4, 2 are getting services. They're no longer in the street. But that's an example of some people come from another location. So that's why the officers that I have are trained and know, we know people mostly by names, but sometimes we see somebody different, we approach them, offer them services, and it's one of those things they might not want to do it. They might not want to go to Safe Harbor, but they might want to go to the HEP. It just depends on what their circumstance. So we sit down and talk to them. Karen May from Directions also does that. So if the person's motivated to be out of homelessness, I feel very confident that we can assist them. Now, the ones that are not, we don't give up on that. There's some circumstances that I've had people say, I will not go to Safe Harbor ever. Fine. We got them somewhere else. Maybe it took some months, took some convincing, hey, you don't want to be here during the storm, or you don't want to be in the cold anymore, or in the heat. Maybe that's the one day that they will go. So we've had success with that when we kind of get a little more personal with them and speak to them. But there are going to be people that are not going to go in any shelter, unfortunately.
Do we have any other questions? I have one more question, and that's why you mentioned that CHIP provides breakfast, and there's the feedings by the police station. If somebody was homeless and there's 7 days in a week and 3 meals a day, How many meals are being provided either at CHIP or at the police station or anywhere else? How many meals a week are available?
So actually, I don't have that data. It is kind of very difficult to get because it's not just the San Vincent de Paul community kitchen. We have meals at the Peace Memorial Church that happen 3 times a week, and it's in the afternoon. It's just dinner. The same ones at the vacant lot adjacent to the police department. Those are mostly evening time, around 5:30.
Every day or
I'm sorry?
every evening?
No, we have about 5 days, I think, is where we have those. Not every day. There are different organizations that come and feed them. Some team up and 2 or 3 organizations. This is actually what I recommend when they call that say, I would like to provide meals for the homeless. Then I give them information on the other providers, so they will team up instead of having 10 people trying to do that. So they put together resources and do that. There are other places that they provide meals, but no, we don't have a direct count, or I'm not aware of any data.
How many meals provided, as far as how many meals given? We don't have those numbers because they're definitely different organizations, but a person that does not have a home can get a meal every single day. So St. Vincent de Paul feeds every morning. The Refuge feeds every morning. They open at 9 o'clock. They also provide laundry and try to get IDs for people. But in the afternoon, they get fed either at the Peace Memorial, the vacant lot across from the police department. So every day there's a meal. I just don't know how many meals are given.
Not the quantity of meals. I'm just saying that if I was homeless, I could eat breakfast every day and I could get a meal somewhere
Yes.
downtown every day.
Breakfast
Okay.
and dinner every day, because the San Vincent de Paul Resource Center, they offer breakfast every single day,
Okay,
Monday to Monday.
good. That was my question.
If I may.
Sure.
A couple questions. The 75 to 85 number that's kind of more accurate for downtown, even though you said that some of them aren't necessarily from downtown, they come to get a free meal. Do we have an actual number of the homeless that currently are downtown? I mean, I know there's a certain percentage that absolutely won't take any kind of service. Do we know what the number is for downtown that are sleeping, hanging around? They show up every single day because you know most of their names. Is it
No,
60, 70? We don't know for sure.
I do not have that data.
The number is not that high. I would say there's a dedicated 35 that stay down here in downtown. However, I did speak to a couple of them that I've known for a while, and I asked them specifically why so many more are kind of congregating downtown. And they stated that there's a lot of services kind of around here. So if you want to wake up early, you want to have breakfast, you go to the Refuge, not that far from downtown. You, in the evening, when you want to be fed, it's the city, the Clearwater lot across the street from the Clearwater Police Department, and then also Peace Memorial. So, and then there's the bus stop there. They can pretty much get mobile where they want to go. Some of them go to the beach, you know. So everything is really close. The resources are close. I know the St. Vincent de Paul Soup Kitchen is a little bit further down, but again, if you want to get breakfast, they can still go to the Refuge.
That number 35 for downtown, would you say that 35 number represents that 3 to 5% that refuse any and all services? Those 35 that are downtown, are those our hardcore homeless?
I would say about 15 to 20 of those are the hardcore homeless that do not want service.
Because the whole idea, and you're right, Gabe, back when I was in 2011, when we brought in Marvet, the whole idea was we created ordinances, and it was a very fine line. You could not violate constitutional rights. But we did stuff to help the businesses. We took away downtown street vendors. We did things that would make it uncomfortable, make it not as easy to be homeless, because the whole intent was, and we didn't do that, we did that with the intent to drive them into the wraparound service network that was provided by a very, very large provider service network, which is by none probably the best in the state, to get them into services. But that small number, there are folks that, you're right. And one of the things that I would maybe take a little disagreement with was, the idea was to do one feeding a day, to try to get those people to feed once a day at a time where it could be like a brunch hour, so that you get a breakfast or lunch together, and then you either get into service to go try to find a job, rehabilitate, whatever the thing was, because the whole thing was to try to get them to change their situation. So I think that the efforts that the city has made, and we're spending the tune of $235,000 a year to all these different providers to help those folks. But like you say, the 35 that we all see that are problematic, they're not, they get, a lot of them are veterans. By the way, the biggest number one group of homeless folks in the entire state are veterans. They get their VA pension, their disability check at the post office. They can shop, they can do everything they want. Now, I hear they eat 2 or 3 times a day anywhere they want. They're not going to take services. So that's the problem group that you all are seeing in your businesses that we can't get rid of. Out of that number, that 35, because the spice used to be a huge problem, what would be the troublemaker portion of that number? Because it's the troublemaker portion that we always have the biggest concerns with.
What I can say is the spice situation is significantly improved. I've been on this team for 1.5 years. When I first came on, my objective was to get rid of the dealers of spice, get rid of the product as much as I can, and we have been very successful in that. I used to make 2 spice cases a day. That's one of the things I'm good at, unfortunately. And I haven't made a spice case in probably 3 weeks. It's very difficult to find anybody who smokes spice. Now, I'm not saying that the spice is gone and it's over, but the 21% reduction is a small number. It is significantly more. What I can say is that the troublemakers, there are still troublemakers that come to the downtown. We identify them. Obviously, we still offer them services, usually after the arrest. It's probably the only time they'll speak to us. But what we're doing now every single morning is we're officers and I are coming in before the business is open, and we're trying to make sure that no one is finding people sleeping in their property. And we also have another 3 o'clock in the morning check where patrol officers will assist us with the same. We've had a lot of success with that. We've trespassed several people in the last 2 weeks and has really made an impact. And I've personally gone to a lot of the businesses downtown myself, and some of them qualify for the blanket trespass affidavit program. We've signed them up, we utilize that, which gives the power to that business owner, because when we trespass them, that individual that is obviously causing problems, then that person can't come back for a year in that property. And also that person doesn't want to come back to that property because they're just going to come back for sleep. They're going to go to jail for sleeping, and they do not want to do that. So it's a very good tool. We're utilizing it, and I'm personally walking to every single business downtown and trying to get that. The ones that qualify. Now the ones, and I run that program, the blanket trespass program, and if the business qualifies, they have a nuisance issue to have people sleeping in their business, they will qualify. I will provide them the information. They'll sign the affidavit saying that they will give it the authority to the Clearwater Police Department to operate during those hours when the business is closed. But what happens is that when the business is open, the Clearwater Police, we have no power in trespassing someone, and we don't want that power. If the business owner does have a problem with somebody on their property, they can call us and trespass the person in our presence. We'll trespass them, that person can't come back for a year. So that's, for me, that's been the biggest and best tool to assist in the downtown area and any business that has a problem with people sleeping on their property or doing other things they're not supposed to do. So we're really trying to gain back some ground that for a very short time we lost there. So, yeah.
Can I add to
Mr. Chair, most people don't know, the Clearwater Downtown Post Office used to be the biggest sleep headquarters. So they're one of the first partners we had to close their it used to be a 24-hour lobby. Okay. And I mean, that's where the homeless population slept.
Can I add to his comment? So it was very evident to me that the 2018 spike use went down very significantly, but in the last 2 months, we've also noticed a spike in criminal elements. So it's not the regular homeless. We've had days where on Saturday morning there's 15 homeless sleeping in front of the businesses, and all that entails. more aggressiveness, more assertiveness, more panhandling, some violent actions. And I just wanted to take this opportunity, Sergeant Fidelis, to give you the kudos you deserve. He has been very active with the residents and any representatives from the residents as well as the merchants in educating our rights. He's been very receptive, very involved. You know, he introduced me to all his officers. We had a brainstorming session. We came up with an action plan, a week ago, and he's already arrested how many?
I would say 11 people.
Yeah. So I am very grateful. I feel that all our concerns from the merchants as well as the residents are being heard, and he's very outcome driven. You're a great addition to our community, and I wanted to be on record.
Thank you very much. My team and I are both dedicated to the downtown, even obviously Clearwater, and patrol officers are also dedicated to making it better. We understand that if somebody's homeless, that, you know, sometimes things happen, we try to provide them service, sometimes it's a mental health issue. Again, we just get a personal contact with them and try to communicate with them, even the ones that, you know, will say, well, I'll never go into a shelter. But, you know, each officer in my team have a challenge of we're going to get that guy in and kind of talk amongst ourselves about that. So we're very dedicated to do even better, but communicating with us, I communicate with several business owners, is the key. If I know that there's a problem, we can move our resources there, and maybe, you know, not always the arrest is the main thing, is trying to get that person to a program. If the arrest needs to be done, of course we would do that, but not calling. I think the person, the business owner, or the resident is not really helping. Call us. We want to know the issue. We can direct more resources there. So we're continuing to be dedicated to the downtown, and we want to partner with you folks to make it better.
Very enlightening. Anyone else have any comments? It was very helpful. I just wanted to say, I, as a business owner downtown for many years, I appreciate the work that's gone into this, and it's a difficult issue. Nobody wants to see the people going hungry, so it's a fine line between withdrawing services from people that are going to go hungry otherwise and providing us a level of services that's so high that it's an attraction to come to our town. We don't want it to be that high. We don't want to be like the Disneyland for homelessness. But neither do we want to see people going hungry either. So I think you're pretty much at the right point in terms of that line. Maybe
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to the Imagine Clearwater discussion with Assistant City Manager Michael Delk. Welcome, Michael.
All right, Michael Delk, Assistant City Manager. Thanks for inviting me back from last month. I think we weren't able to quite finish. So in the meantime, we have been working on some activation concepts for the park. And so what I will do is to kind of walk through that. We're going to formally present this to City Council tomorrow. We've been having some discussions individually with them. We're going to ask them for some direction on the park, which I'll go into with this. So I'll try to quickly, this is very short, go through this and then kind of tell you some of the things that we're working on from an activation standpoint. And then if y'all have got any other questions about any other matters, we'll be happy to go through those as well.
One very quick question.
Sure.
What is the definition of an activation concept exactly?
I think we have a park design, so we've kind of got the park plan in place. Now it's a matter of what do we want to do with the details to the park to really kind of make it that civic attraction, that great public place. That may become more clear as I kind of walk through the program.
All right, sure.
So we're getting down into a lot of details about that kind of activation component to it. So Coachman Park redevelopment. Our Imagine Clearwater community vision for the park. We want it to be an active, authentic, iconic, civic, and open space. And we want it to celebrate the history of the city, the natural beauty of the city, the culture and diversity, and one that anchors an economically vibrant downtown. That is directly from the 2017 master plan. In terms of our expectation for public spaces to be inclusive and accessible, support social infrastructure, foster community connection, be environmentally sustainable, and to drive economic development again. And when I say social infrastructure and foster community connection, we really want the community, the citizens and residents of Clearwater to feel a sense of ownership and investment in our downtown and waterfront. We are going to ask City Council to consider tomorrow night authorizing us to present to the Parks Board a request to rename our waterfront Coachman Commons. Again, a theme of community being vested in our downtown waterfront as a vibrant, multi-use public park and arts destination available to the residents and visitors of our community 365 days a year. Coachman Commons, what do we envision in that? Active, a public space available 365 with art, events, and activations for residents and visitors alike. Authentic, highlighting the city's unique assets at the downtown waterfront as a versatile destination. Iconic, we want to provide a high-quality arts destination and public space that uses light, sound, and technology to immerse and engage visitors, and I would add fire to that. We're having discussions with Clearwater Gas about how we can do some artistic features using the gas system. Open park connected series of public spaces that impact civic engagement, environmental sustainability, and again, economic development. And I say those are not competing interests, those are complementary interests. The civic engagement, the sustainability of the park, and the economic development, we believe are mutually beneficial. And we want to emphasize all of those in the final designs and implementation of the park plans. Commons, what does that mean? We all have known of a famous commons in the Northeast. This is about the message we want to send to our community and how we want to engage the community in our waterfront. The verbiage equates to resources available for all members of a society and creates shared language, transitions the Imagine Clearwater initiative into concrete concepts as the city moves from planning to construction. So a quick comment on that. We are moving away from internally our discussion or referral to this project as Imagine Clearwater. Right now we're starting to think of it more in terms of Coachman Park redevelopment. And in the future, if the council supports our efforts and if the Parks Board and the City Council should concur ultimately, we would promote this to our community and the world as Coachman Commons centerpiece of Clearwater's waterfront. We want the park to capture both the physical assets like Coachman Park, the library, the waterfront activity, but also the spirit of the shared civic commons and public space that is available and accessible to everyone in our community. Objectives, we want the public to really re-engage and re-establish a public ownership of the city's waterfront space. This park belongs to all residents of Clearwater, from Countryside to Morningside to South Greenwood, North Greenwood, Sand Key, everywhere. This is public civic space. And we want to energize and engage the community around the concept for Coachman Commons and what we believe that we can achieve there. This is a kind of the current, most recent iteration of the park as it's presently designed and being worked on from a standpoint of moving from around 15% now to 30% plans. We have discussed, I'll go through some of the specific areas here. Our Stantec team has done a great job really breaking the park down to a series of notable places in the park, with each having a unique kind of setting and tone, each its own. This is the lake area, which is the more serene area of the park. We have a facility there which kind of shows where a wedding green lawn might be at the kind of the bottom center of the park. We've had the idea that we've presented to the City Council in anticipation of their trip to Japan this fall, that we would formulate the idea that we would engage Nagano that we would be honored in them to commission a local architect in Japan who can design for us maybe a place with a Japanese cultural theme to it. Could be a pagoda. The top right is actually a Japanese style garden that's locally here. It's made of native plants, so you can still have that kind of feel to the park. The top right is an example of how the Japanese culture uses floating candles for some of their events. The bottom picture is the picture of a Japanese style bridge. These are things that we can work with our sister city. It really creates a sense of place. We think it would be an honor for us, for them to be so engaged, and we think that it would be a reflection of how important they are and that relationship is to our sister city in Nagano. What we want to do is from the north to the south. We want the park to come alive as a piece of art in its own right by use of creative lighting techniques. We could have, again, some artistic fire installations there. Wouldn't have to be a lot of them, but in some key locations to try to create a sense of place and a vibrancy to the park. We want to cover the park with sound, and we want to cover the park with water features, things that are really kind of ubiquitous to Clearwater. If you could imagine, for example, maybe during the easiest one to think about is the holidays, we could bathe the park from Pierce to Drew in red, white, and green. We could have holiday music or carolers stationed throughout the park. We could have fountains of colored lights really permeating that. It would be the kind of place that we would want people to both be excited to look at, maybe from the top of the Memorial Causeway Bridge and look at the city's waterfront in its entirety, and maybe the next time they want to walk down through the pathways of the park and kind of immerse themselves in the sound and lights and feeling of the various respective components of the park and whatever the feeling that we would have from those. Some other examples of the flame, the use of fire creatively as an artistic component. We may have walkways, for example, bamboo, where you have, these are light facilities for bamboo. You can walk through a bamboo forest of lights. I think, I would say that we're only limited by our imagination in terms of the creativity that we can bring to this incredible public space. The top picture is four pieces of art, individually placed and bermed as a large art piece. The bottom right, again, showing the use of creative lighting in certain areas. And about the lighting, I would say, for those of you who've been to Las Vegas, you probably, most everybody that's been there has stood out in front of the Bellagio looking at their watch, waiting for the 9 o'clock showing, and all of a sudden the fountains and the lights come on and Andre Bocelli's playing the music, and people just sit there amazed with the experience that is occurring in front of them. I think we could manage Coachman Commons in a similar way. We could have a night scheduled for certain events at certain times. During the holiday, we could have the park lit up for the community from 6 at night till midnight or 10, 11 o'clock for hours on end, where we have food trucks and carolers throughout the park. I think it could be a good fourth-day destination for visitors to the beach in terms of getting them downtown to come kind of experience the offering. And I would also suggest that if we move forward ultimately with a conservancy, that this kind of an artistic component to the waterfront is something that could be well managed by a conservancy. So that decision has not been made yet. We're internally investigating that, and we'll be having a conversation with council about that probably later this year, really as to how they want to proceed. So, but I think that if, this is the kind of thing, a management opportunity that would lend itself to a conservancy. Again, the fountains, examples of interactive art displays. The fountains could be good, wonderful play areas during the day. At night, it could be a fountain of color and vibrancy along with music and sound in the park. And these are some more examples. The garden area, which is where we'd have certainly some interactive water features for kids and families. The bottom right, various opportunities for shade structures. It reminds me a little bit of the area, if you've been through the Atlanta airport, there's a concourse there that is covered by a rainforest look. Spectacular piece of public art. The bottom right kind of shows how that might look like in an open air situation. Again, some more examples of the kind of mood and feeling that you could have throughout the park. Again, these events could be themed. You could have pink for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. You could have red, white, and blue for the 4th of July. There's a lot of opportunities here to create both a sense of place, to have specific events, and also I think, sponsorships. Folks who could sponsor seasonal displays of lights brought to you by X Charter Communications or something, whatever it would be. Know before. I think there's just a lot of opportunities there. The top right, very simple. This is from Des Moines, Iowa. Creative use of art and lights, creating a sense of place in the middle of their city. Our park has opportunities to be really an architectural jewel and gem in its own right. That's it. I will tell you that this really even scratches kind of the surface of some of the creative opportunities. We developed this activation plan in-house, and then late last week had a meeting over in Tampa with our Stantec, the consulting team, on Friday morning, and it was both remarkable and reassuring to me, the comparative consistency between what they were envisioning as a design, architectural, landscape architects, design team, and what we were working on over here. It really was breathtaking to me to see that they were thinking along the same, very similar lines in terms of the activation potential of the park. So, there's a lot more to come on that. We will have 30% drawings from them in the next, I don't know exactly what the time frame is, but within the next 60 days probably that's an opportunity where I've committed to the city council and our community that we're going to go we'll publicly engage them at that point, and we'll have more details about the actual park infrastructure and how that's shaping up from a design and permitting standpoint, and I would expect that we'll have even more representations of the things that we're thinking about activating the park. All of this is 100% consistent with the publicly generated plan that we worked for so many months engaging our community to design and develop it. Nothing here is inconsistent with that in terms of the activation, so trying to think if am I leaving anything out that I covered?
The bridge, I think was
the bridge, yes. Well, quick update on the bridge. Our consultant team has gotten the design drawings, complete design drawings for the bridge. We believe that we can use the existing light facilities there, change them out from the kind of bulb structure they are now to an LED that's programmable, so we can increase the efficiency of the lighting on the bridge while at the same time allowing a good deal more creativity to how we light it. And I think, what happens next is that we will generate a lighting plan and a concept for the actual installation itself and kind of what that's going to look like. then we have to take that before City Council. They have to really authorize that installation design, and then that gives us then the basis to go apply to DOT. So right now, our immediate priority is to try to get the lighting design system in front of City Council as soon as we can, and then get it to an application to DOT. It's about, what they've told us is a 6 to 9 month permitting process for DOT. So
6 to 9.
That's all right. It'll be as all these things are. It's not going to be a cheap installation, although I think we can kind of minimize that with the efficiency of use of existing components and electrical.
So you're not changing the infrastructure, just changing the vehicle of which how the light comes out, so like the light bulb?
Yes, I mean, there may be some power changes to the amperage, that sort of thing. We want to bathe the bridge in lights. We will have a concept in mind. We'll work that out. But I think we can use the existing wiring, from what I understand.
You're not going to rewire it. Why does it take 6 to 9 months to?
The permit takes 6 to 9 months.
DOT tells us it's at least a 6-month permitting process with DOT. Once we get them, they have to get the council authorization. So why that takes, I'm not sure. But what we'll do is, if there's costs associated with it, if it's not something that's already can be picked up in the Imagine Clearwater, and it may be, then we'll budget it for the next coming year. But my guess is that it's probably something, I think we've, to a large, if not complete extent, we've budgeted for the bridge lighting in the Imagine Clearwater umbrella. So we'll probably be able to.
Go ahead, Stu.
Michael, it's a little hard to see. How many covered seats are under the oval there, roughly?
Let's find the other. That design reflects the City Council's April addition to the amphitheater, and is 4,000 seats is what's represented there, I think.
You get 4,000 seats in a little space like that. It doesn't look that big.
That facility there is, from one end to the other, I think if it's the scale of it is around 360 feet. So that's a rather large installation.
Okay.
Quite substantial.
All right, well, it looks very good. I mean, it's inspiring. The whole design, the first time that I see some, wow, this is looking really good. I hope we can get something going sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think we're working on getting to the design permit part of the park. What the engineering told me is about May. I'd hope to be underway earlier than that, but the design construction drawings, which are what's being prepared right now, are apparently going to take the engineers that long. The library will be the first thing to go. We should be able to get started on that about the first of the year. Our economic analysis with HRNA is going really well. We've got some design scenarios, development potential, setting up on all the sites from the harbor view, the existing City Hall site, including preservation of a potential civic component to it. We lose nothing from the development potential of the City Hall site. It actually lays out rather nicely from a site planning standpoint. And then scenarios for the CMA site as well. So, I think, the challenge for Clearwater and the bluff sites is that our values, our economy is relatively anemic. So trying to get, anticipated rent structures and cost per square foot that really support some of that is a little further down the line. I think, the harbor view, if we move forward on that, we'll probably be publicly invested in that site more initially. But then on the other hand, our vision for that site is much more clear than it is on the others. So maybe we can interject some energy and some value in the marketplace. And then if we're out there marketing, I think, what we have kind of described to you, if council is comfortable with us moving forward with that, then all of that messaging will roll into our marketing for the bluff sites as we go out to the development community and see if we can attract the kind of developer who can do the kind of work that we want done on the Key Bluff site. So there's a kind of a natural progression to that, trying to build value along our waterfront, which right now, frankly, is lacking. But as you may know from hearing me speak over the years, I'm very optimistic, and I think if we just hang in there and continue to try to do the best that we can do with the what's available to us, then I think we stand a good chance of being successful. Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Stu.
Yeah, I got one more question. I mean, there's the money aspect. You refer to budgets, that sort of thing. I have two questions. One, there's a 2020 election. Is that something that is going to influence the progress of this project, meaning new leadership, different ideas? That's one. Table that for a moment. The other question is that in one of the proposals, there was a team of, I think, 6 people that were basically going to be hired by the city to manage the kind of performances. Is that now essentially thrown in the water, and it's Conservancy who's going to do that? Because I did the math. There's a lot of payroll that is going to be just spent, and it's going to take 5 years before you break even. So I'm looking at this from the business perspective.
Well, I think there's an assumption that if we actually, if we build the amphitheater that's kind of shown there, that there's some FTEs associated with that. I don't recall the number.
This is the Schuler-Shook study.
Pardon?
This was the Schuler-Shook study on the performance venue, what size it would be, and then what the operational costs would be.
Yeah, I think, that's it. By charter limitation, we can't assign this to anyone else to manage, so it would not be a relationship like we have with, for example, REH, Ruth Eckerd, to manage the Ruth Eckerd Hall or the Capitol Theater. So this would not be able to be managed by an outside agency. We could lease it as a public facility for people to book, concerts and things out of. But I believe with this facility of this size, if we actually, build the amphitheater, then it probably has got some FTE impact. It's not the sort of thing that could sit there empty and vacant and not incur ongoing costs. So
generally speaking, with public parks, conservancies are the norm more than not. So a conservancy is a much more appropriate, from my perspective, call it entity that is, it's part public, part private, many volunteers. It becomes more a city kind of co-owned, literally a commons, if you have a conservancy run that, and it's also cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
So from a strictly budget perspective, I would like to lean that way.
Well, I've had some challenging conversations with City Council, frankly, over that issue. There'll probably be some more, because as we get deeper in design, you really get a sense of the impact of the amphitheater on the park. What you end up getting is less than 100% of both, and that's because the amphitheater really is kind of an animal in its own right. So I would agree with you that the challenge of managing the amphitheater as an ongoing entity versus the conservancy opportunity for management of the park are a little bit, maybe kind of in conflict. Again, I don't believe that we can assign the management of the structure to anyone else. Now, I don't know if that extends to a conservancy or not. It may, but historically, I think what I've heard is that the city would want to retain the management of the amphitheater structure if that's the case. So we've got to work through that. It'll become more pronounced to deal with that issue as we get further and deeper into the design of the component. That's probably the only thing in the park plan that's not really 100% consistent with a publicly generated plan, but we are designing it and preparing to provide architectural drawings and renderings for it, but City Council has authorized us to consider it as maybe as an opportunity to phase. So that feature is about a $14 million I think we discussed that last month, about a $14 million investment in the amphitheater itself. So
What you're telling me, it might be put in later.
the council has given us the authority to design it in where it could be phased. So yes, that's theoretically, right now, that's where we are.
Go ahead,
Thank you
Thomas.
very much.
Certainly.
I'm excited to, see some real ideas. I'm curious about the timeline. If I heard you correctly, we may have something available to start in May. Is that at the earliest, or?
That's what our engineering department is saying. We are hiring a construction manager right now. We should have them on board here in the next, I think we're planning on having that before council at the first meeting in November. To hire the construction manager, we're going to immediately start working on kind of the details of construction with them, and trying to, they will hopefully help us find cost savings and things that we can do there. We also want them to take a serious look at how we're going to handle and manage the Jazz Festival in 2020, because this is going to be a construction site. So we're going to have to work around that. We can't get the CM on board soon enough to really help us provide definitive direction to the Jazz Holiday folks for the 2020 event. So the answer to your question, yes. I hope to be able to move forward with the phase 1 construction of the park at about that time when they get done. We may or may not follow immediately. We wouldn't have to follow immediately with the stage structure, but we can certainly by the end of next year, hopefully we'll start to have a southern portion of the park starting to shape up the year after that. Then hopefully the location of the venue would move theoretically.
My big question is, do we have a rough time frame of when you might get started, what would happen at certain points along the way, and where would we be at completion of Imagine Clearwater or Coachman Commons?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I think they said it would be a 15 to 18 month project. I don't have a more definitive timeline that I can convey to you on that right now. We can certainly come back with something. That's not to say that something doesn't exist. I think Stantec has that in their proposal. So I could possibly get that for you.
I'd like to see that, because, we've all been waiting a long time, and I think if we have some sense, if I have some sense of this will happen at this point, we can then say, okay, so we're on track, we're way behind, this is a disaster, this is a great success. I'd love to have some measurement. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, I think, some of that will start to, 30, 60, 90% plans, it'll start to come into a lot more focus. So right now it's fairly wide potential for error, but on the individual points, but we'll know more about the specifics of that when we get further along. So it's all public information.
Thank you.
So Michael, I'm a bit actually re-energized about the idea. We've been talking about this park for years now, and going back to the public hearings years ago in the different locations at the libraries and so on. And a lot of the ideas that were put forth at that time have since appeared. Some are not visible in here, but many are, and I'm glad to see like the ideas of the collaboration with Nagano that's proposed. That's kind of interesting, and some of your renderings were exciting. I wanted us to touch on a couple of things that I thought were important, that just so you have some feedback from us on this. The bridge lighting, I think, is an important feature for people in the park to be able to see the bridge lighting, and I just wanted to impress on you the importance that we have on that. The interactive fountain coordinated with light and music, I think, would be a very attractive feature to bring people downtown just for that purpose, where people might say, instead of watching the sunset at Clearwater Beach, let's go to Coachman Park or Coachman Commons. In terms of activation, there's a couple of other points that I've been mentioning for years at every opportunity, but here's another one, so I'll mention them again. I think in the area between the coast and the pier that starts the marina, that area that's inaccessible to boats from anywhere else, that open area of water there, I think, should be utilized either for the rental of paddle boats or for remote controlled boats for kids to play with. And there should be some kind of a kiosk down there where kids can come down and rent remote controlled boats to tool around in that area, buy ice cream, do something like that. There needs to be some kind of kiosk that permits some kind of rental activity that provides one of these activation ideas, like some reason to draw people to come to the park. And the last one I wanted to mention is to tie the downtown into the park a little better than just having a nice park adjacent to it, is if there was some transportation, like the train in Clearwater's, in Largo City Park. There's a whole train society of railroaders that are volunteers that help keep that whole thing set up. Maybe a discussion with them would be fruitful to have, maybe not all the time, but during major events or something. If there was a little train running from the marina around the park up to Cleveland Street, that could bring people up and into the downtown. And I don't know how far we could come up before we ran into difficulties with traffic and safety and so on. But some method of bringing people up from the marina or that location, from that vicinity up to the top of the hill, and then back through the park. I think that would be a great feature.
Great idea. I tell my staff, now's not a time to find a box, They think outside the box. Right now, there's no such thing as a bad idea. I love the boat things. We've talked about that. Some good news on that. I think the designers feel like we can get that public access direct to the water.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, the potential of the park as a park and open space area is really extraordinary for us. So limited only by our imagination.
I think the success of it as a concept is going to be on how well we activate it in getting people to come to downtown or to come to the park.
I think we can. I believe that we can create a regional destination. If my wife's family comes down from Indiana, we're going to have to take them to downtown Clearwater to see the park before they get away. We want it to be a place that people have to see.
Right.
So.
Very good. Anyone else?
I have a question. The 30% plan, what information is going to be provided in that? Does that include timeline? What does that information does that provide?
There's some timelines now. What I would say about that is the more detail you get to the park, the more definitive things like costs and timeline are going to be, because we're going to be working on both of those items once we get a construction manager on board. How can we build it cheaper? How can we build it faster and more efficiently? So that's the reason right now, aside from the fact that City Council has authorized us almost $6 million to do it at all, which we're deep in the middle of now, we want the construction manager on board to help us with those exact kinds of things.
But if the goal is not to have the construction manager, the goal is that the construction manager probably wouldn't be until November 1st, and I think you said 60 days for the 30% plan. You wouldn't have the construction manager for the 30% plan, right?
No, probably not by then. I would expect we'll have 30% plans. We'll have some public outreach before then. But the RFP, the request for proposals or qualifications, I should say, is already on the street. So I don't recall the announcement, the window opening time, 30 days, 60 days. It's a big project, so you've got to allow people a little bit of time to respond to a project like this. It's very complicated and a lot of utilities, a lot of issues. So, but it's on the street, so we've got people that are lining up that'll be making submissions to be our construction manager. So, I think the November thing is not going to hurt us too much. Frankly, the one reason I really, more than anything at this point, I wish they were on board for, they could just help us plan around the 2020 event for Jazz Holiday. We know we're going to accommodate that. I wish they were here today to kind of help us work through that, but we're working with Jazz Holiday anyway, and so, the construction manager will just simply have to, have to help us out with defining that area in 2020.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. That was very
pleasure.
helpful. Thank you. I note that our city manager is present. Did you have anything you wanted to address to us today, Mr. Horn, or?
Good evening.
Good evening.
No, I was here just to support the two presentations that you were going to get tonight, and gave you kind of a history lesson of how we've tried to address the homelessness issue. And I think for us, it has always been about the hardcore homeless on the street who have chosen not to get help. No one, I repeat, no one wants to deal with this population. So we can't ignore it, and that's why we asked Dr. Morabat to give us some ideas because of all the constitutional issues that are associated with trying to discourage people from doing things that they are entitled to do under the Constitution that we find very objectionable. So we think we found some good tools to use, but the homeless committee meeting that we have every 2 months help us to keep track of what's going on. We bust up homeless camps. We really try to keep our hand on it and use the social workers to help us continue to try to convince the hardcore people to at least consider, some alternatives. But it is continuous. There's no one on my staff who's a part of the homeless committee believes that this problem is going to be solved in our lifetime. We're in it for the duration. And I have to honestly tell you, I think we've made a lot of progress, but it's not something that we can take our foot off the paddle. We have, and I will say your help is very, very much appreciated. I mean, Lena is a classic example. You've heard the phrase, if you see something, say something. You all have heard that? Well, that's exactly what she did. Why? She's been out on the street at night. And what she has observed, she passed on to Fidelis. And that has given us greater insight as to how to deal with that period of time from midnight to 6 a.m. And that's how we've been able to kind of break the code on some of the things that has been happening that our police officers doing other things just haven't been able to figure out. Well, so I encourage you, give us those insights. You may not think as much to it, but you never know. So, and we'll continue to come back in front of you and give you updates on how well we're doing. We don't really think it's helpful to have feeding facilities in our downtown. With regard to St. Vincent de Paul, for a long time, they refused to change their hours. Well, they hired a guy who was very creative, and he decided there's a different approach. He approached us, we worked with him, they amended those hours, we kind of stopped fighting him, and he had a training concept, and I think that has opened up an opportunity for us to address that hardcore that goes there for meals, but also we found a population of people that were willing to get some training and maybe come off the street. So, we're sort of working that issue. And so we're constantly thinking about how do we, keep the downtown as clean as we can. Station Square, Amanda came on board and said, hey, we need to do something creative with Station Square. Well, we know what our challenge has been in Station Square with our homeless. But rather than to discourage her from using creative ideas, we just simply said, here's the history, we'll work with you. We know we're going to have a homeless presence, but we'll work harder to see if we can try to mitigate that presence and still make Station Square Park a destination for some of our downtown clients who want to use it during lunchtime or some other time. So that's kind of where our mind is right now, is to figure out how do we deal with some of these challenges that get in the way of people looking at our downtown as a place to come and have fun and enjoy. You know, I mean, restaurants, we're getting more restaurants. You know, we certainly don't want to discourage people to come down and take advantage of it. So that's where we are there. On the Coachman Commons, I appreciate your feedback and comments. And Stu, you asked a question about the 2020 election.
Yeah.
You know, the way municipal government operates is administrators, we focus on the policy guidance given to us by our council members. So unless the council members tell us to do something different, you know, we are pushed forward to make it happen. The election doesn't matter from the administrator's perspective, because we got timelines. You all are asking, you know, like you did, Thomas, about, well, what's the timelines? I mean, you know, we're under quite a bit of pressure to, you know, demonstrate that we're making progress. And so as far as we're concerned, you know, that's what our focus is. We'll let the election take care of itself.
Okay.
Because no matter who is elected, those elected council members can always change priorities. It's always in their purview to decide what direction the city should go in. So, and what we do as professional administrators is embrace that policy guidance and move forward. So for right now, we know where we're headed. Council's solidly behind us, and that's what we're going to do.
Thank you.
Anything that you all can do to help us narrow in on what we're trying to accomplish, just know that it's welcomed. Okay, we may not always agree, but just know that you can let us know. And that matters to me, and it matters to our council members sitting on the other side of the dais. Any questions for me?
I think I appreciate you taking the time to come and attend our meeting today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're all on the same team. Whose phone is this?
It's yours now.
No, I'm done. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Horn. Okay, let's move along to agenda item 4.6. Amanda?
Yes, so looking to approve the slate of election candidates for the 2019 election. So we put out a call for candidates. And I know there is a citizen who wants to comment on this issue. But this is the slate that when we mail out the ballots, we will have their biographies and their photos, and they have either their principal residence or principal place of business in the DDB's district.
Very good. And do we want to read the candidates into the record, or?
My list here. Sure. You have Shahab Imrani, Keenan Kinsel, Paris Morphopoulos, Festus Probini, and Edmund Rikipi.
Very good. And this is our last opportunity to add any names to the slate if we wanted to.
This is the last call, so to speak. So yes, now or never.
Okay. All right. And you said there was someone that wanted to address us, a citizen comment?
Yes. Hi, my name is Mark Bunker. And back in 2000, there was a citywide referendum when the city was planning to give away the entire downtown district to an out-of-town developer for $1 a year for 99 years. And before the citizens voted on that, the St. Pete Times at that point ran an article that included a poll that was conducted that showed that 66% of the people who responded to the poll thought that redeveloping downtown would only benefit Scientology. And 100% of the people who were polled said even if the downtown was redeveloped, they still wouldn't come downtown. And the reason was the presence of Scientology. Now we have a situation where the board is primarily made up of Scientologists. We've got Paris Morphopoulos, who's the the president of the board, right? Stu Silverman, is that correct?
You pronounce it not Rain Man, but Showerman.
Showerman, okay, thank you, Stu. Ray Casano and Tom Wright. all Scientologists. I think several of them at least.
I'm not a Scientologist.
You're not? Well, I've got you in the service completions here, Tom. There must be another Tom.
There is another
Wright.
Tom Wright, yes.
Okay, I
I'm
apologize,
Thomas
Tom.
Wright.
Okay. And then also not a Scientologist, but Ms. Jamo, it does work for Scientology's go-to law firm of Johnson Pope. So we've got a very big balance toward Scientology's point of view. Now, the only one of you that I've run into before is Mr. Morphopoulos, who I used to shop at his store, One Stop Shop, until he told me that I wasn't welcome there. I never created a scene. In fact, he told the newspaper that I was not disruptive in any way. He just considered me his enemy, which I don't think is right. I don't consider myself an enemy. I consider myself someone who speaks out against Scientology fraud and abuse. That fraud and abuse primarily impacts Scientologists. So,
Okay,
in
excuse me a
effect,
second.
excuse me?
The agenda item here, we're talking about the slate of election candidates for
Exactly.
the 2019 election.
So the
Please
people
get to
who are
your
coming
point.
up in this slate, of the 5 candidates, 3 of them are Scientologists, including Mr. Morphopoulos, Shahab Imrani, and Keenan Kinsel, all Scientologists. So if the problem downtown is Scientology, are Scientologists the answer? I ask this because it's a serious question. People are largely afraid to come downtown. They don't want their money going into Scientologist pockets. I don't agree with that. I come downtown. I think everyone should come downtown. But there is that perception that has to be overcome. So, you know, you've got that hurdle that you have to overcome. Yes, I'd be happy to answer any questions, but before I'm done, you're talking about luring homeless down here, turning it into a Disneyland for homeless by offering too much help. Seems to me that the largest single property owner and the wealthiest property owner downtown, Scientology, might be able to help with the homeless problem.
Okay, we're straying way off the topic. Please bring your remarks to a close. You're running out of time, and you're not sticking to the agenda.
My point is, we should be aware that Scientology can do more to improve the impression of Scientologists. What were you going to ask?
Well, I am a Scientologist.
Yes.
I'm also a Christian. Most Scientologists are Christians.
Right.
And we just recently donated a duplex in Greenwood, free, to help more homeless people have a air-conditioned and a toilet and bedrooms.
Very good.
Secondly, I believe 2019, you'll find it a very big difference from 2000. Very big difference in people's view. I've been here for 38 years, and it's amazingly different. People really like Scientology, and they're very curious about it, and they ask me very often, tell me about Scientology. Now, that didn't happen in 2000. It is happening in 2019.
Yeah, they've been asking me that question for 20 years as well.
That's you. I'm talking about, I'm right downtown, and
Right.
I see a lot of people. My office is a half a block east of Starbucks. They walk by and talk.
Okay. Anyway, this is not a discussion about Scientology.
I'm not going to talk about Scientology.
Okay.
I just wanted to talk about the regulations for being on this committee. I've actually mentioned it to City Council, and I think I've mentioned it here. I'm not really sure, but I think I even wrote an email about it. You know, all of Clearwater, we all care about downtown, and we do come downtown, and we love our Coachman Park, and it would be more representative if you could have on the Downtown Development Board representatives who don't actually own property or live in downtown, because this Downtown Development Board should represent the ideas and opinions of people all over the city. I know that would require changing the ordinance, but I think it's something you could consider, especially based on the comments that were just made about the representation on the board. It's not just what he mentioned, but it's also the fact that demographically, it's only representing one segment of the city, and we all have an interest in downtown. If you want us to be interested, if you want us to buy in, let us participate. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ma'am, are you aware that there's a taxing district?
Yes, I'm aware of the CRA. Yeah, and I really,
The Downtown Development Board, there's a taxing district. We read earlier tonight, you know, the millage rate and the amount of taxes that are collected from downtown property owners, freeholders, as our charter says. So to have someone in Countryside decide, unless they work in downtown as their principal place of business, that really flies in the face of sort of the American principle of taxation without representation.
well, we all are contributing to
I beg your
property
pardon.
taxes in Clearwater.
Not in the downtown taxing district, you're not, unless
Well,
you
if
live
you-
here or own property here.
Okay, I'm not an attorney. I have done my very best to learn about the CRA, the Downtown Partnership. I just noticed today that in Safety Harbor, the Downtown Partnership is giving the grants. I don't know what our Downtown Partnership does here. It's taken me 2 years to try to figure out the Downtown Merchants, the Downtown Partnership, the Downtown Development Board, the Community Redevelopment Agency, the Clearwater Economic, whatever they are. You know, it's complicated, and I don't think the average citizen does understand it. But I do know one thing, if I'm talking to people, they feel disenfranchised. The rest of the city just does not feel that downtown cares. You know, the downtown, we're not enfranchised. It's basically y'all do what you want, and then it's like, well, maybe we'll you know, you don't really care about what we want. And if you want us to come downtown, then you need to think of, you know, what do we want? I don't know how Dunedin does it. They have a CRA. Safety Harbor has a CRA. But like I said, I mean, it's all, I think, the way you write the rules, and maybe having representation on this board other than a person who owns property or lives in downtown. Is anybody here not own a business but does live in downtown?
I do not live in
Okay.
downtown, I only work in downtown. I do not own a business downtown.
Do you own any property in downtown? Uh-oh. As far as I read, I've been asking that question for quite a long time. You're supposed to either live in downtown or own property in downtown, working downtown.
That
from what
is,
I-
that's not.
Okay.
You're actually misinforming people. That's not actually what
Okay,
the
let's get it straight, because
regulation
I've
is.
sent numerous emails to the city. I've been trying to get let's
It's
lay it out.
fairly simple.
What are the rules to be on this board?
It's fairly simple. To run for election on the DDB, you either
Okay.
need to own property in the downtown,
Okay,
you need to work downtown, or
Okay.
you need to live downtown.
okay, so the work part is, I'm gonna add that now if anybody asks me. I'll ask, you have to live downtown, work downtown, or you have to own property in downtown.
The additional thing that I'd like to clarify, just for your benefit and for anyone else that might be watching, is that while Dunedin and Safety Harbor may have CRAs, Clearwater also has a CRA. We are not the CRA. There is a different
I know the
entity
CRA
called
is
the
city
CRA.
council, and I know
Just
that
please,
Amanda is the director, but
It's my turn to speak right now,
Okay.
okay? I'm in the middle of a sentence.
okay,
Okay. This is the Downtown Development Board, which is a different entity than the CRA. The Downtown Development Board is a board that operates in a special taxing district. The property owners of downtown pay taxes in addition to all the taxes that everyone else in Clearwater pays, and those property owners get to elect a board that decides how those additional funds should be spent, because it's their money.
okay.
That's why the board has a function to serve the property owners of downtown and not Clearwater at large.
So if anybody wonders
Harris,
what,
also, I would add that the only freeholders, the only people who are eligible to vote are ones that are paying taxes. So institutional uses that do not pay taxes, that are physically located in the district, do not have a vote. So they don't elect. So, and in terms of the election process, it's volunteer, right? We let people know, we encourage people to run, but it is self-selected.
well, I've been really putting out the word to anybody who lives downtown, not necessarily, because the CRA, I've been trying to show people this is the district. Anybody who lives in this district, you don't have to own a business, you don't have to
That's
work
true.
downtown. But all these individual houses, and how about the senior citizen housing? Are any of them
Okay.
within the downtown district?
The district ends at Missouri. It
Okay,
goes to
so
the
that,
water.
so then there are some senior citizen, like along Stevenson Creek, there's quite a few
No,
senior
that's
citizen?
outside of the Downtown Development Board area. That's in the CRA, but it's outside of the Downtown Development Board.
Okay. So,
It's a
the
smaller
CRA
sub-area.
district does not necessarily mean you're part of, that's what you were saying earlier,
That is correct.
that you're not part of the, oh, Mr. Albritton, Councilman Albritton is looking confused. or something.
I believe you're giving us too much power. We really don't have that much power.
Well, I think now that there's a better understanding, I'm glad we aired it here, and, because I've been really trying to, teach people, because a lot of people don't even know you exist, number one.
That's true. That's true.
Now, at least maybe we know you exist, now we know what you have to, how to qualify, but there are people that live in houses, just, or apartments
That's
in
right.
the downtown,
Okay, we're gonna,
within the, right, or not? Can you just live in a house within the?
If there was a house within the Downtown Development Board geography, yes.
Okay.
Mostly it's condos.
Okay, so, oh.
Right.
Somebody else, did you want to ask a
Okay.
question? Could you sometime in a presentation, put up the map, so, and when maybe have a
Yes,
training?
I can
you're
send
gonna
you
have
a
new-
map.
Huh?
I'll send you a map.
After okay, I was gonna say after the election, maybe for the new people, maybe you could do it so that, because now you're on YouTube, you're a lot more accessible than you used to be. Thank you for your volunteer service, and thank you for your businesses downtown.
great,
Provide
thank you.
services. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, so now, we're looking for a motion to approve the slate as discussed.
I move we approve this.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Good. Is there any additional discussion? Okay.
Actually, yeah, I would like to make a comment. I think other than David Albritton and maybe Jay Polglaze, I think I'm the senior person on this Downtown Development Board. And in the time that I've been here, which is about 9 years, I can tell you I've never seen a vote here that went in favor of Scientology over the citizens of Clearwater. Thank you.
Good point.
Good point. Okay, so now, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? There being none, that is the slate. Item number 4.7. Amanda, can you pick that?
Yes, so this is to authorize the chair of the Downtown Development Board to approve an agreement for services with the Clearwater Arts Alliance for a crowdsourced video campaign not to exceed $7,500 and a project budget of $24,000. So again, this is our understanding from our last meeting that we wanted to allocate the $7,500 for Clearwater Arts Alliance's services and for awards, and then for $24,000 to promote and advertise and push out the winning videos, the winning films. So that's part one. And what we're asking Clearwater Arts Alliance to do, they will issue a call for artists in October to create 30 to 60-second videos that tell authentic and engaging stories of downtown Clearwater. Then they will have a platform to collect all those videos. Then they will have a 5-person panel to review that and present the top 10 to CRA staff and DDB representative. And then we'll have an event to award the top 3 with their cash prizes.
Very good. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good. Any discussion? All in favor?
I just have one
Aye.
question.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so 7,500 is going to Clearwater Arts Alliance.
Yes, so they're the third party, which means that they will manage the judging, the call to artists, all of that, so that is separate from us, so it's above board.
Okay.
So they're the entity that is going to review all the videos, have the panel, announce the winners, and make that the decision.
So we don't get to vote on the winning videos?
We can have one representative because it has to be considered very neutral, it can't be a government entity or,
Okay.
you want to be the one?
I'm probably not the best one to do that. Maybe somebody who's a little more creative than me. But the 24,000, that was the total budget?
Yes,
'Cause
I
we've got a
misspoke.
professional organization that's going to do some professional videos as well.
Correct, and those are two
Okay.
separate projects.
Right, okay.
Right, so the 24,000 project budget, it's actually broken out with 15,000 for the ads promotional side and 7,500 for the Clearwater Arts Alliance and the cash prizes
Okay,
for
thank
the
you.
artists.
Great. Okay. 4.8, appoint members for the canvassing committee.
We have to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry, we need a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Getting ahead of myself, aye. So we have a unanimous vote there. 4.8, appointing members for the canvassing committee. That's everyone that is eligible except those people that are running for election. So we would like to have some volunteers.
Correct, we're looking for 2 volunteers who are available on October 8th from 3 to 5 p.m. to help open ballots, open and count ballots.
I'm available.
All right, I will feed you dinner. We only need 2.
So I'm looking for a motion to appoint Thomas and Ray as members of the canvassing committee.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Okay, number 5, old business, the DDB work plan.
Okay. So I will be emailing this out to you guys because our presentations always take longer than we imagine, than we think. But where we are right now, great, check on number 1. It's not showing up there. Hiring the PR firm, right? We got viral campaign, Facebook videos, that's going forward, that's great. Partnering with educational institutions to promote high-tech employment. Councilmember Showerman, I'm looking at you. We have till the end of the year to work on this and figure this out. Okay, did you have an update you want to share at this moment, or?
USF has been, partnered with, we're currently talking to Stetson to do similar types of projects. It's ongoing.
Well, we'll get more details, and
Yes.
we're champion revisioning of the special events process and working with Lena on that. So to describe more about that, I think what we've seen over the past year or so is that when it's a small merchant, they have trouble kind of negotiating the process, right? Or the cost of just basic city services of closing the road can be overwhelming. So what we want to try to do is work with special events to figure out how we can make that whole process easier, right? To give them more guidance. If you're small, we want to support, new ideas and something like that. And how can we offset the cost of city services for police, fire, road closure?
Just a quick question regarding that. Was an option having the DDB involved in supporting that?
Yes.
Right? Okay, so that could be, I have to put it on the agenda next month if we want to discuss that? Okay.
We just talked about the art tech exhibition and the financial update before the augmented reality, so now we're on to ordinances. So again, the timeline that we're working on is talking about proposed changes this month, which I'm going to review, give you a high-level review of what we're thinking about and have as much conversation and discussion as you'd like to have. But I'll also email it out to you so you have time to think at home and get comments back to me. And then we'd like to actually bring those draft changes in final written language form at the meeting in October, and then move forward with those changes in November. Again, if we're all in agreement. If we can always take more time, but I don't want that to be because of me. So remember your existing regulations, it's a layered cake of regulations, right? State laws around special districts. The Downtown Development Board was created before CRAs were ever created in the state of Florida. So you're governed for rules for independent special taxing districts. And your purpose is and was revitalization. Then you have a layer of city ordinances that you're under, your own bylaws, and then we have interlocal agreement with the CRA to provide your staff. So currently, and there's different sections in the ordinance, currently your statement of policy and findings is very old, so we're 20 years old, and it talks about blight and the railroad and all these things, and it says your primary purpose is just to aid the CRA, right? It's very narrowly defined. What I would like to propose is that you have a broader description and purpose statement here, that really it's about revitalizing and then preserving downtown Clearwater as a central business district with places to live, work, and spend leisure time for enjoyment of all city residents and visitors. Right, it's a little bit broader, positive picture of what you're trying to achieve, and that you are going to work to aid in the implementation of downtown redevelopment plans, right? Because plans are adopted on a more regular basis, right? So that's something that you can, and they identify the specific issues of that time, right? Not issues from 20 years ago, but issues from when they're adopted, and you can align with that. And then related to that, that in your role, you can serve as a common voice for downtown property owners and organizations representing residential and commercial interest. You can still continue to aid the CRA for as long as it's in existence, and that you can enhance basic city services in downtown to increase a sense of community and support local businesses, right? So this is all an expansion over what, or further identification over what the DDB is asked to do today. You know, an example of enhancing basic city services would be something like lighting, right? I've had people come to me saying, hey, we want more increased lighting in downtown along the streetscape, right? The city's going to provide your basic street light, right? But if you wanted to come in and do something enhanced, the DDB could play that role in helping to initiate that and fund portions of that. Or again, business grants, the DDB does not have the same state restrictions as the Community Redevelopment Agency does in offering different kinds of grants to businesses. So if you wanted a specific role in that, you could take that on. Do you have any reactions to this so far?
I think it's good.
On the right track.
What's our goal in terms of getting that finalized?
So again, I'll send this out and give you guys time for my processors, right? A week or so to think about it, but then I would put this into ordinance language.
Okay.
Right, so you would see X out of old, right, or strike through, and then you would see this rewritten.
And who's the final approving authority?
City Council.
City Council, okay.
So first, you guys would request, this is what we would like to see, then I will turn it over to our legal department, right, and we'll start meeting with City Council, and then they are the final approvers, adopters. I can't imagine they want to keep 20-year-old language, but you know, they might. Elections, right? Today we have a pretty arduous process, an arduous paper process. You have to send back a registration ballot with a signature, choosing one person. If your signature doesn't match, that ballot gets thrown out, right? It'll be someone's job to match that signature. What we'd like to look at is in-person voting or absentee ballots, that it's completely managed by the election supervisor office or some type of online voting system with an electronic signature. Since the parcel numbers already provide a unique identifier, right, we don't have to worry about, you know, IDs or those kind of things. We already get that information from the county since it's tied to property. So these are the two avenues that we're exploring right now in order to change up the process and make it not a mail-in system. Okay. Bylaws. This is way in the weeds, but right now your ordinances and your bylaws aren't really aligned. And you have a lot of things in the ordinance that, again, are processes from a long time ago that you might not want to be, you know, beholden to. So we're just going to clean up this section and just make it clear that your funds, your records, how you conduct your meetings, all of that is going to be in the bylaws, and you're going to commit to looking at them every 2 years or more frequent if you need it. Functions. So again, we talked about your reason for being, right? That's the broader language in your roles, and then functions are your actual powers. What can you do? And broadly, you can think about it as, you know, what do you do? You can research, you can fund, you can purchase, right? You can host, you can recommend, right? Those are kind of the broad categories of activities, and more specifically, it would look something like this, right? That you're going to have an annual budget and you're going to have a work plan, right? That says this is what the DDB is going to do this year. That you can convene, right? You have it's not all about money, right? And funding or purchasing things. There's a big power in leadership, right? And in the convening and the hosting power, and this would kind of stake your claim as the organization who can serve as that convening body, should you choose to accept that role. That you still will continue to recommend and advise the city and the CRA on things that will help bring more businesses and residents into downtown. And that this is the other duties as assigned, right? That there's a paragraph that says, you'll continue to work on other lawful projects and undertakings, right, related to the downtown area that you've been requested to look at, maybe by the city commission, or activities that are identified in adopted plans, or anything else that can improve the tax base or further revitalization goals. So right now your ordinance lists like about 25 very specific things, like make a brochure with the Chamber of Commerce, right? And I don't think we need to get that. We don't need to get that specific. You can if you want, but this allows for you to ebb and flow, right, with whatever the issues are on, at that point in time.
Okay.
And last but not least, a new section that says you will comply with state law. Just so it's
for a
clear.
change.
That was all I had.
Very good.
Very good, thank you.
One quick question.
Yes.
Just back to the RFP on the PR firms. Has the RFP gone out?
No, that was for the series of Facebook ads that the CRA would manage.
Okay.
Versus, I believe that's how that project evolved, that it wasn't we were hiring a whole PR firm. Let me clarify with
You talking about
Rosemary.
for the videos?
Yeah, why don't we take that offline, because,
Okay.
that's fine.
Yeah, let me clarify that and we'll give you a call tomorrow.
Thank you.
Update.
Great, thank you, Amanda.
Good.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 6, the chairman's report. No,
That was not on the agenda.
pardon me?
That was not an item on the agenda that the public can speak to.
No.
So CRA updates, just want to let you know that we have a special event permitted for November 30th. I might have already told you guys this, for the world's largest food truck rally.
No.
Down in, yes. The organizer is looking to break the Guinness Book of World Records for number of food trucks in the same location at the same time. So we're anticipating over 200. And I've already reached out to the Merchants Association. Also want to, engage you guys. Again, I'll follow up with email because I know we're getting late, but it is my goal. I want to ensure that everyone who's down in food truck land makes their way up the hill, right, to Cleveland Street. So we were discussing pedicabs, or as you brought up, the train idea. That event is not serving alcohol, so there is an opportunity for the businesses on Cleveland Street to provide alcohol, and maybe that becomes the wet zone, right? And there's some back and forth there, but there's going to be a lot of people. They anticipate 10,000. This organizer has done events like this before, so I believe that to be a pretty good number. It's going to be a big lift, and I just want to make sure that downtown benefits from that event. Second Century Studios is up and running again, so you'll see different exhibits and things coming through there. And then we're also working on a 3-week residency with Urban Conga around play. So part of, as we talk about the activation, right, in hopefully Coachman Commons, part of it is teaching our residents and our businesses, how do you generate play? How do you support play? What are the kind of things that you can build that encourage a sense of playfulness? One of the pictures that Assistant City Manager Delk had showed, if you remember the little yellow or green balls, right, is that you can actually move those around yourself and create a different image. So there's things like that are in combination with the maker space in the library that people can actually get templates and build, right, their own fun, interactive type exhibits. So I'm excited that, we're going to have, hopefully getting finalized Urban Conga for 3 weeks to really dive into this idea of play and how we can have more play in our downtown. That's it for me.
Great, thank you, Amanda. Great, so Chairman's report. We'll make it brief. Our perspective, our cultures, our community visual art exhibit is opening on September 20th at the Second Century Studios at 331 Cleveland Street. We have an art walk taking place on September the 20th. We have the Superboat races and the parade, September 27th through the 29th. And that completes my chairman's report. Next, we'll go on to board members to be heard, beginning on my left. Ray, your final comments,
I'm getting
please.
excited about the park. The pictures I saw and the lighting and some of the creates is bigger than I thought it was, so I'm real happy.
I just wanted to focus on a trend that I'm noticing, and that is different groups collaborating for the common good. Before supporting the merchants. I just had a meeting with Creative Pinellas trying to collaborate and do some programming. The CRA and the Merchants Association having a 4-page ad at Creative Loafing. And I think that I'm seeing the benefit of that. For example, Creative Loafing has the biggest, I guess, contest, right? Naming the best restaurant and all these hundreds of, I guess, categories. This is the record for the amount of businesses considered for, or nominated for best of in downtown Clearwater ever. So there is an improvement, and I think it's all because we're all collaborating for the common good. So that's my comment.
Excellent. Stu?
Yeah, I'd like to essentially echo Bill Horn. We're all on the same team here. We're all living here. We're all trying to make this into the best place possible. And with communication and collaboration, we can get the job done.
Very good. Thomas?
Yeah, I too am excited about the park. I think having Michael Delk here on a regular basis, he probably doesn't want to be here for every meeting, but the updates that he provides gives me hope that something really is moving forward.
Very good. Caitlin?
Similarly optimistic. I'd like to outwardly appreciate Tom's questions about the timeline, because I think kind of seeing that evolve is helpful, and also getting dates on that is very helpful. It's still unclear to me the 30% what that's going to show, but I'm hopeful that we'll be able to meet that May kind of anticipated deadline.
Sure.
Supporting forward progress, I think, is really important right now, and continually giving council members feedback as we go forward. But I'll tell you for myself, from my own perspective, very happy when Michael came on board as the project manager. Things are starting to move, and we don't always agree with Michael on a lot of stuff, but some of that creative liberty we've given him to go forward, you saw the product of those slides tonight. So it may not all end up exactly like that, but people need to see the pretty pictures to really start to get the buy-in. In addition to that, I think the presentation, the update, the history of the homeless situation in Clearwater was important and overdue to this board, so that you can see where we were, where we are, where we want to go. But like city manager said, you can't take your foot off the gas pedal, because there is that percentage that they're just not going to go away. Mm-hmm. And one of the things we always realize and recognize homeless populations throughout the United States, positive activity with a lot of vibrant, diverse destination for citizens to come and do, they don't necessarily subscribe to that. And so they'll move elsewhere where it's more quiet. So positive activity replaces negative activity. So that should be our collective goal.
Very good. David?
Here, here.
Yeah, I'm gonna mirror the same thing. It is been working with Michael now for months, and he's always had I could see it in his eyes, a picture of what this is going to be. But it's so nice to see visually what he had in mind. I think that's a big help for everybody. So hopefully he will continue to do that and keep us abreast with exactly what he's got in mind and what we can make out of this park. The other thing that the homeless report from Gabe, wow, I can remember back 2009. We had so many homeless sleep on every opening of buildings downtown. And I remember that was back when we were first getting the trolley to come through, and they were almost like embarrassed to come down because they're just people laying around everywhere. DDB did, if you can remember, I know Thomas probably does, that we had a program that issued the trespass signs. And the big thing that I see from the way they handled homeless back then to the way they're doing it now, there's so many great partnerships of organizations that are actually helping with this. And that really means a lot. I mean, everybody's on board, other than just arresting and throwing in jail. They get out the next day and then they're back again. You know, I know we have a core group of people that are never going to take the services, but I think the services are really needed, and I'm glad to see some of the success stories that they have.
Okay, thank you. And my final comment is I'd like to echo Mr. Horn's comments that we are all a team. We're all working together trying to improve the situation. So if we just continue to maintain that in the face of anything else that comes up, we're all trying to benefit the downtown and the people of the downtown and the greater city at large. And with that, it's 7:43. This meeting is adjourned.